Hi everybody, I'm Diane Mulligan. I am a teacher, writer, and artist from Central Massachusetts, and welcome back to another Creative Coffee Break. This is the 6th installment in my little series, and I'm aiming for a total of 8, so I hope you're enjoying these, and if you are, give it a like, let me know. And so for today's video, I thought I would show you how I practice some urban sketching skills from home. So if you know anything about urban sketching, you know it's all about drawing on location and recording what we see without trying to pretty it up and make it artificial, if that's the right way of thinking of it. It's basically, taking what we see and rendering it in our sketchbooks or on our paper. And it's a lot like it is plein air art making. You're making art outdoors on location, but to me, it feels a little lower stakes, and there's a little more emphasis on making a beautiful piece of art and instead more emphasis on simply recording what we see. So here in New England, the weather often doesn't allow for working outdoors. Today it is extremely cold, windy, and rainy, for instance, so I can't get outside today. But I like to practice my urban sketching skills right here at home. And one of my favorite ways to do that, besides drawing things around my house, which I absolutely do, is to use YouTube walking videos. I like this way better than using Google Maps. I know other people use like Google Street View for this, but YouTube walking videos are basically videos that somebody has gone to major cities, taken a camera, and literally just walked around neighborhoods, and you watch the video and it's like you're walking along with them. What I like about this for urban sketching practice is that you just decide when you see an image that you like, when it comes to a frame of the video that catches your attention, you just pause the video and you use that. And it's not like using a photograph somebody else composed, because the person doing the videos, they're literally just like walking around with probably like a GoPro 360 on a stick or something. And they're not composing that scene. They're not making artistic decisions about how to frame it. It's just what the camera caught as they walk down the street, which is a lot like how we experience walking down the street and choosing an urban sketching subject. So what I like to do, I often play those videos as kind of a white noise background when I'm working. And then I just glance up and look at them, and sometimes I see something that catches my eye, and I grab a screenshot and save it, and then that's what I use for sketching. So I have saved a screenshot. My favorite videos to watch in this way are from London. It's my favorite city. I don't live there. I wish I did. I love to visit there. And so I do a lot of London scenes this way. And I've saved a photo for us to use today, which I will put here on the screen, and I'll give you a copy of it in the description box if you want it. And so let's take a look, and I'll show you how we're going to approach this scene and work on some urban sketching skills from home. Okay, so here I have my supplies for today. I am using a mixed media sketchbook with fairly smooth paper. This one's a Canson XL mixed media sketchbook. I have a pencil, which I'm going to use for my warm-up drawing. And then I have some Tombow markers. I have a yellow, nice vibrant yellow. I have a medium gray, and I have a dark gray. Tombow markers are water soluble, and they come with these blending markers, which just allows you to kind of move that marker around. So I have that here to show you, but actually you don't need a blending marker because you can just use a paintbrush and some water and you can move them around, which is what I'm gonna do. This is something that I do urban sketching, especially when the weather is not great for watercolor. You use a lot less water to move these markers around than you do to use actual watercolor paint. And what that means is it dries a lot faster, even in bad conditions. And also you usually kind of do the water stage towards the end. And that's it for today. So my strategy today is going to be to ignore the color in the video and to just do this almost value study style, where I have light, dark, and then I have the yellow for those really warm areas. I just think it's nice to brighten up those warm areas of the scene. You'll see what I mean when we get to that. The first thing I like to do, and I do this on location urban sketching, and I also do this in my practice sessions, is I like to take the image that I'm working on, or the scene that's in front of me, and I like to do a few blind contours to warm up. I find that doing blind contours forces me to actually really look at the scene in front of me. And again, we've got our scene here. You can see I've got it up on my phone. I'm just balancing it on a little stand here, but I'll put it on the screen for you. Doing the blind contours forces me to look really carefully at the scene in front of me. It lets me connect up my eye and my hand, so I start drawing what I see instead of what I think. And so even on location, I will do this. I'll do it for 5 to 10 minutes. For our creative coffee break, obviously, these are short little sessions. So I'm only going to spend a few minutes, but what I will typically do is several blind contours on top of one another. Right here on the same page, I'm going to use for my drawing. And basically, as I said, it's going to help me look more closely at the scene, but also it's going to take away all that fear of the blank page, because once I put a bunch of blind contour pencil lines on here, this page will not be blank anymore. It will be covered in lines. And to me, that is just really helpful. So for this first one, just to show you what I mean, I'm actually going to switch my camera so that you can see how I am not looking at my page, even though I could. It takes a little bit of restraint, but I'm going to only be looking at the scene in front of me. So let me just switch my camera here. All right, so for this first blind contour, you're going to see that I'm looking over here very diligently at my phone. I am not looking at my drawing pad. One of the things sometimes that helps is to actually move your drawing pad kind of away from you. So I'll do that so that my body is facing this way, my paper's over here, and I'm not looking at my paper. All right, no more talking. Here we go. So now I'm just starting kind of in the middle of the image and working my way forward up the bridge. And I know you can't see my sketchbook page. I'm sorry, I do not have the ability to do the overhead camera and the computer camera at once. But hopefully what you can see here is I'm going really quite slowly and just moving slowly and gently up through the scene. And what I'll typically do is I'll continue with a simple, and so by, I'm calling it a blind contour. It's also continuous line. I'm not picking my pencil up off the page. And I will typically go until my pencil runs off the page, and then I'll stop that line and I'll restart. So let me switch back so you can now watch the drawing part of this, and you'll see my first line and you'll see what I mean about how I approach the line. All right, so you can see that first line that I drew, and I was just following the lampposts and the bridge coming forward. And so now I'm going to continue. Each time I'm basically going to start in the middle of the page and work out from there. And I'm going to do this, these blind contours, at least 2 more. I like to get a sort of layered line going on the page. So I'm going to just start same place in the middle. And this time you'll just have to trust me that I swear I am not looking at my sketchbook page at all. Probably that'll be very obvious when you see how my lines go kind of crazy and they don't line up. And even though the lines, right, especially things like, you know, that are symmetrical, like Big Ben here, or the lamppost, that like, this isn't going to be symmetrical. Things are not going to line up properly. And yet, I think I get I like the quality of the line that I get. To me, the quality of the line often feels a little bit more honest. It's the only way I can describe it, than when I'm trying really, really hard to make perfect lines. Even though, again, this isn't going to be like a perfect representation of Parliament, it's still, to me, the expressiveness of the lines feels right. So I'm just working my way across here. And the first time that I ever used this technique of doing blind contours and then doing my actual urban sketch over the top was, in fact, right in London at Big Ben, standing on that bridge. So I wasn't down here where the people are taking the pictures. Okay. That's my second line. I didn't run off the page, but I just sort of ran out. But yeah, I was standing on this bridge on the other side near Big Ben, and I really wanted to sketch something iconic, but I was kind of freaking out and nervous about it, and was having a really hard time just like doing anything. And then I thought, you know, the heck with it. Let's make some blind contours, because I know they won't be perfect representation, but at least I'll start drawing. And then magic happened, and I started using this technique quite a lot for urban sketching and just for loosening up for drawing. Anyway, all right. I'm going to do one more blind contour in the foreground here, try to focus on these people a little bit. And I don't do people very often. I'm not a portrait artist, but having people in a landscape really helps. So it's a skill I'm working on. And if you watched my other creative coffee break where I did touch contours, right, and did kind of a portrait of an imaginary person, you'll know that I'm not a portrait artist. But the first step to drawing anything, whether it's people, buildings, trees, flowers, is looking very closely. And the place most paintings, drawings go wrong is when people stop looking. All right. So that's all I'm going to do for blind contours for today. If I weren't facing the time pressure that I put on myself for creative coffee breaks, I would probably keep going so that there's a lot of overlapping lines. But hey, when time is of the essence, sometimes we just have to get on with things. So let's get on with things. I've got my markers here. And now here's the next piece of this that's important to me that I want to show you today, that I like to do, especially when I'm using markers. Move this over a little. And I do this with watercolors too. Once I've done the blind contour, I'm actually not going to do more drawing of outlines. And I'm also going to kind of ignore the blind contours that are on here. I'm going to use as a starting point the bridge and Big Ben, but I'm not at all going to color them in. I feel like that's really important to state. I'm not going to be coloring those in. But what I'm going to be doing is focusing on big shapes. In fact, I'm going to get a fainter marker to start. because that gray all right, sorry about that. I've got an even lighter gray marker because the first one I grabbed when I drew it on this paper was darker. Yeah, darker than I wanted. So this will become clear as I go, and in fact, maybe I should just start. So I'm going to start with a quite pale marker, and I'm just going to focus on shapes, and I'm going to try my absolute best not to outline those shapes, but just to use the marker and color in some shapes without drawing outlines again. And what this is going to mean is I'm not going to end up with a perfect drawing of Big Ben here. What I am going to end up with is a study of the shapes and a sense of where the lights and darks are. And because I'm going to use my yellow, I'll have some of the warm in there too. In fact, let's put a little bit of yellow in there right now. So this is just going to be big shapes. And that's going to free me up in this scene, which is so complicated, right? If you're thinking like, how do you do a scene that complicated when you're only giving yourself about a half hour? And well, this is one way, is that we simplify. And I am always trying to simplify. All right, so we're gonna have that. As I said, I'm gonna kind of use my initial starting point that I had in there because I think that was good. And I'm starting again with just my light colors. So that's like, if you're a watercolor artist, you know, we're always working from light to dark. And just focusing on the shapes of the composition. So this is also a really good compositional exercise because it just gets you thinking about how to place things on the page without worrying about every little tiny detail, of which there are just so many. And of course, if you don't have this kind of marker, that is no big deal. You can use any drawing supply that you have. The key thing, all right, I said I'm trying not to outline, but then I just did that arch, but I don't think I could do the arch any other way. So I'm not going to go all the way to the end of my page here. All right, so my big shapes are starting to land. Let's do a bit of the background, I think. I am going to put those people in, but I'm going to work my way up to that. So what I'll be able to do with this is then come back with the darker marker and get in some more of the, I'll add in some of the details that will add depth to this. So right now it's going to look pretty flat. That's okay. Because there's more to be done here. I have to bring this down a little bit to where that river is. Okay. You know, it can be really, really daunting to sketch on location when there's a lot of people around. But that's why I like to practice these types of skills from the nice comfort of home. Because then when you're on location, you already know how your materials work, and you have a certain amount of comfort with that. And then also you just have all the practice you need of the focus that's necessary. And I am sorry, it is genuinely hard for me to talk and do this. But all right, and now in this spot, I'm gonna put some of the yellow over the top of the building to warm it up, but I'm gonna come back to that. All right, so there's some big shapes. Can't see anything there. All right. Actually, let's put some of that yellow in. So even though these are, they're like watercolors, that they're water-based, they move around, they activate, and they're transparent. But as you can see, this yellow is so bright that I can absolutely pop some of that in here, and it still shows up. All right, there's some light down here at the bottom. Okay. Now I'm a little torn with under the bridge because, well, in the picture it's lit up green. I think I have to give a sense that it's lit up because it is. It's not dark. Like normally an arch under a bridge would be dark, but that's not what's happening here. So I'm gonna just fill some of this in, and I'll move that around. Same thing back here. I'll move that around with some water later so it's not so intense. And then there is actually a really dark bit. So we'll get some of that in too. Okay. Now I think I have to put my my photo taking gal in here. And I'm gonna just be brave and go for it, I think. All right. Just be brave. So I actually really like the contour outline of the back of her, and I'm gonna use that pretty faithfully here. Because that's one thing I will say, when you're just doing one line with the contour, like even when you're not looking, the more you practice, like it gets so that you can actually get some quite accurate lines. All right, and she's wearing this puffy coat. Okay, tricky. When I move the marker around with water, I'll be able to like kind of pull out some details here. All right, she has a big bag, which I'm not going to totally color in because I'm going to move that. This dark marker on this kind of smooth paper moves so much. Like I can carry this really, really far actually. So I'm like leaving gaps and things because I know how far this marker goes. Okay, so I've got the basics. We'll give her her jeans, which are lighter. Okay, and I know her face isn't gray, but I'm on a limited palette here, so we're gonna just keep it simple. Okay. Now I'm gonna have to do something over here because these lines aren't. All right, We'll just fudge it. That's fine. Just making our decisions on the fly. And then of course we have the other girl over here, and you can see in my blind contour, because I was just continuing the line, they don't line up. Basic tip here, that is, people's heads always appear on the same level if they're standing on flat ground, because that's where their eye level is. So I'm actually going to move. I'm going to use a darker marker, even though she's kind of blonde. So I'm going to put her up here, not where I put the contour. I'm going to go right over the top of the marker. And of course she's bigger because she's significantly closer to the camera. Okay. And now got her shoulder coming out here, and it's too bad because I really like the line I did for her hand, but it's just not in the right place. Accept that. And you can see how the darker marker is just like blurring into this paler marker here. Like there, you can see I can just pull that marker along. And all right, we've got our sleeve here. And this is going to be tricky. I'm going to have to make the face of the phone light. But that's okay. Can I actually put the frame of the phone. And our other hand is coming around too. Just give a sense of that. It's just, you know, I'm just giving like the most basic sense here, but again, this is okay. Well, that kind of looks like a person holding a phone. I'm not going to overthink it. All right. And I need to get this nice, there's the light railing in here, which comes across. And I know this video is going to go overtime. Sorry about that. But I'm having fun. And I promise no YouTube trickery. I don't know. You know, I'd love to hear what people think down in the comments. You know, when I set out to make this series, I said I wouldn't be doing like YouTube trickery, by which I mean I'm not doing any like time lapse. This is all straight up real time. And that's because I get really frustrated with the videos that give you a false sense of, or no sense of, how long an artist's process takes. And, you know, you kind of get like divorced from reality. And so I decided I don't want to do that to my viewers for this series anyway. All right, now I'm just dashing in some marks here. Okay, which of course you can see that I'm doing that. So, anyway, like I was saying, you know, I want people to have a sense of just how much is actually possible, even when you don't have a lot of time. You can still find time for your art. So I want to make these videos real time, but I don't know, maybe people don't want that. So I don't know. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a comment. Tell me what is it that you, viewers of YouTube, would like. And I'll do my best. All right, so just filling in some marks to like add a little more life here. I'm gonna darken. I'm using my darker marker, and just suggesting some of the, you know, it's all really far away, so it's not like we can see a lot of that detail. I'm gonna have to, all right, I'm gonna put a little bit of this light in the water. Oh, this marker. So the marker's gotten very dirty, just rubbing it off here. Okay, so just putting a little bit, I'll be able to pull that down. And then I'm gonna need a bunch of, so I've not lined these things up right. That's okay. Just gonna make some dark in here because it is dark. All right, how are we doing on time? Oh my goodness. All right, let's see what happens when we start to use our water to fill in the tone here. All right, so you can see what I mean about this, the black. It's not even black. This is not the darkest Tombow marker that I have. When you add water to it though, it really moves. And I'll be able to pull this up into that underside of the arch. All right, so that's pretty good. It's giving a sense that it's lit up under there, but also taking out the brightness. We'll just smush that around. So this is just like a really quick way to fill in. I want to even this out a little more, to just fill in the tone, so I don't have to draw every single thing. This tone should come all the way down. And again, this is mixed media paper, so it'll take the water pretty okay. All right, let's work on our figure here. Okay. And I know I haven't given her a face. We'll see. I might just run out of time for that. Sorry, friends. All right, I would like to put a little bit more reflection here of this. So reflections are what make water feel like water, and they are vertical. So having verticals in depictions of water are actually really important. Don't forget them. Depicting water is difficult, but that's one of those little tricks that can help you. I want to make an edge there a little bit. All right. I'm almost ready to call this one for today, and it's just a study. It's just a study that's helped me do a lot of close observation of the scene. So let's see, what are some last things I can give this one? Let's diffuse these lights a little. And the sky is pretty gray, so we'll just give a sense. A little diffuse light there. Let's see, I'm gonna leave the sky alone. I think any effort to do stuff to the sky is gonna be frustrating, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. And all right, let's see if we can give her a little bit more of a face. So I'm still using that same really pale marker, and it is not showing up. You know, I kind of like this sketch. I don't want to, you know what, I missed her other hand here. She has another hand coming up as if she is talking on the phone. Is she talking on the phone? All right, so I'll give her, that helps fill in the space a little bit. Oh, I don't know if I'm brave enough. You know what I'll do? I'm going to put down some marker here. My brush has water on it, but not too much. I'm going to pick up some of that. Nope, it's not enough. All right. So I've picked it up. All right, well, I suspect in real life she's quite a pretty girl, and I haven't done much justice to that, but oh well. Less is more. All right, I think I'm just gonna leave this one as is. I've accomplished what I set out to do, so I'm gonna stop there. All right, well, I hope you'll give this a try. It's a really fun way of quickly capturing complex scenes by focusing on big shapes, by focusing on values and warm and cool temperatures. Before I go, I thought I'd show you a couple others I've done like this. So here's one that I did from another London city walk, and this is Chinatown with all the lanterns. And obviously a very complex scene, but I was just wanting to capture the mood of it pretty quickly. And another one here. And here's another one where the thing that caught my eye was the light from the windows especially on this couple under the umbrella, and then the touches of red from the bus and the awnings. Really fun to do, really fast, great way of practicing your observational skills. So I definitely recommend it as an exercise. And remember, in Creative Coffee Breaks, we're not trying to make finished pieces of fine art. We're here to improve our skills, spend some time being creative, and have a little fun. So I'll be back soon, and I hope everyone stays creative.